Alright, this video deals with reality-based martial arts versus reality-based self-defense. Now, you need to understand exactly what I'm talking about. In both cases, both categories are designed around the idea of facing modern confrontations, realistic threats to the modern civilization or the modern culture of America or other places of the world. Now, the difference here, the major difference here, is that reality-based martial arts deals with a continual training regime. It's not simply, okay, I've taken a course in de-escalation tactics and here's my certificate for de-escalation. It's not simply I've taken a course in tactical marksmanship and therefore I know tactical marksmanship. Instead, it is a continual training environment. You learn things at a basic level, which is the foundation. It is your cemented foundation. These basic concepts are just hammered into you, built into you very firmly, and that creates the foundation for what you're doing. Most importantly, reality-based martial arts, or any decent martial arts training program, doesn't just teach you martial arts. It doesn't just train you to use martial arts. It trains you to be able to train yourself. So you don't need the gym or the dojo or the academy or whatever you want to call it. You don't need the school. The school teaches you to be your own school, your own learning platform. It gives you a basic foundation from which to go out, learn, explore, grow, and come back and practice it in a continual training environment. Whereas reality-based self-defense deals with expedient classes, and even though it makes use of the most advanced scientific information on behavioral psychology and sports medicine, sports conditioning, it still runs into the problem that they're expedient courses. They're not meant to be continual training programs. They just teach you a few basic concepts and leave you to go train on your own. Reality-based martial arts is a constant training environment. It's a constant platform for training in different styles and different methodologies. And to give you an outline here, what's the basis of reality-based martial arts is this. You have 7 major things that a reality-based martial art has to teach you. The first thing is you have to learn psychological controls at a pre-fight level. This deals with being able to control the fight, being able to apply psychological principles to an attacker so that you don't actually have to engage them, that you can de-escalate the situation, or that you can realistically judge what they're doing and how they're going about doing it. This also involves the learning of tactics and everything else. The thing about this is, when you start talking about de-escalation, or more importantly the psychological controls, de-escalation comes next, but when you start talking about these psychological controls, it's almost a method of mind manipulation, if you will. You're manipulating certain patterns of behavior, certain psychological principles that that person is projecting to you, to direct them, or to direct their anger, their aggression, their ego, whatever, in another direction away from you. Then you have de-escalation techniques. De-escalation techniques are great for stress-based aggression, such as road rage or disputes or anything like that. If you can de-escalate the stress level, if you can de-escalate the aggression level, then you can usually de-escalate the need for violence. Avoidance techniques deals with not only being able to recognize a threat, but being able to apply different methods to get away from or hide from people. For example, a good example of this would be the videos I did on Jiu-jitsu. Yes, this is something that's attached to the street-focused Jiu-jitsu material. Now, after this also comes first aid, because it does you no good if you're injured and don't know how to patch up your injuries, or it does you no good for you legally if you hurt the other guy and you just leave him there in a bad physical condition. If you can, being able to offer some sort of aid to that person is a good thing for showing that you didn't maliciously intend to harm them. Then of course you have survivalism and preparation for emergency, however you want to put it. Basically, we all have that spare tire in the car. Some of us have spare bottles of oil, transmission fluid, windshield wiper fluid, spare light bulbs, case of MREs, blankets, case of water, just in case something happens, the car breaks down and you're nowhere around food or water or anything else, and you need to be able to survive. They take it a little bit further than just, okay, well, there's the spare tire. And then, of course, the martial arts techniques. Some people consider this the most important part. I consider it about equal with the other 5 parts I mentioned before this. When I'm talking about martial arts techniques, I'm talking about you should be trained to apply martial arts at 4 ranges. Weapons range, which is the range which is only accessible with the use of a force multiplier or a weapon, whichever term you prefer. Striking range, stand-up striking range, boxing, punching, kicking range. Infighting range is where knees, elbows, headbutts, throws, takedowns, standing joint locks, and such come in at, and of course ground fighting range. Now, any realistic or any reality-based martial art should engage in all 4 of these. Yes, mixed martial arts does engage in 3 of the 4, and the reality of the matter is that when you're talking about mixed martial arts or even competition martial arts in general, you come under this little problem. Competition martial arts are very realistic. They're not the most realistic thing out there, despite what they say in the ad copy, but they are very realistic. They're very realistic because, 1, they teach you to apply your techniques against a living, breathing person. They put you in a constant training environment because you're always training for the next competition. The thing about it is, though, the competition and the confrontation you find in a cage, in a ring, on a mat, isn't the same thing as the tactics you're going to find on the street. And that is a huge difference in between sport martial arts and self-defense based martial arts. The other thing about this, which is very important, is when you're talking about competition martial arts, they're great for building confidence. Confidence is something you need to fall back on your techniques. You need to be confident in your ability to apply your techniques, not just simply, I've applied them, I've taken a 80-hour course, and therefore I know whatever self-defense system you want to throw out there. And that confidence is very important. That confidence is what allows you to fall back on the techniques you learn. So sparring is a huge part of reality-based martial arts. So scenario drills, sparring multiple opponents, sensory deprivation, because in some cases, due to noise or due to low light conditions or no light conditions, you might not be able to see the person, so you need to be able to function with sensory deprivation. You also need to be able to function in a sensory overload environment, especially if you go to bars or rock concerts or anything like that, where there's a lot of loud noise and lights and movement and everything else around you to distract you. All that's more input going into that computer of your brain, and it can actually overload your brain for a minute and disorientate you. And if you're in a fight in the middle of that and you become disorientated, well, it becomes not only a problem for your ability to defend yourself, but it also becomes a problem towards your ability to deal with your environment, as it is pretty much assaulting your senses. The last thing you need to realize is that a reality-based martial art deals with developing a strong mindset towards survival. It's the, well, I call it accepting uncomfortable truths for comfortable lives. And the thing about this is, it's not geared towards a specific type of martial art. It's not geared towards just my street-focused jiu-jitsu system. I've trained with guys who have created their own reality-based martial arts based off of mixing Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques with the other things I've mentioned. And I'm not the only person out here doing